Here it is, another episode of Let There Be Talk on the Monday, June, what is it, June 17th? How are you guys? Woo! Little vocal warm-up there for the podcast intro. Woo! Just to fucking annoy you in your headphones. Yeah! Anyway, I'm out of my mind. Microdosing like a motherfucker. What is happening? Welcome to episode number 481 with my man, my good friend, my best friend, super comedian, Ian Edwards. Stopping by here today. Ian is an old school guest. He was on probably some of the, first 5-10 episodes of Let There Be Talk 7.5 years ago, back when it was called Poolside with Dean Del Rey. That is how long ago Ian and I go back. Ian is my comedy Yoda. He is my advisor, my teacher, my ninja. What is that? My sensei? Is that what they call that on Karate Kid? Hiya! Karate Kid. Anyway, Ian is a fantastic human and one of the funniest comics I know. And it was great to have him stop by and talk about his brand new special, Ian Talk, which comes out July 12th on Comedy Central. And I do not want you guys to miss this. It's time for Ian to be a household name. As much as that's hard for me to say, you know, I need to be a household name. But all serious, man, this guy is a comedy goldmine. I absolutely love him. And you guys are going to also check out the episode. We sit down and we talk about his special and what he did to try to make it unique and to go the extra mile. So it wasn't just another special out there on the airwaves, which is something you have to do these days in a traffic jammed field of comedy specials. Every day there's a new billboard up, there's a new special out, there's a new 1-minute clip on Instagram, there's a new YouTube video, there's a Twitter joke, there's everything. It's a crowded field, and you have to sit back and think, I busted my ass writing these jokes over the last couple of years. I've worked hard. What is going to make people dig this and talk about it? Because, of course, you can be as funny as the next guy, but what is going to set it apart? And that's what Ian and I sat down and talked about, and Ian has definitely achieved that with his new special coming out July 12th on Comedy Central. Bill Burr Presents. Bill has signed a deal with Comedy Central to do a few specials. He did Paul Virzi's, and Jessica Kirson's coming out, and Ian Edwards. So those are the three that Bill shot over the last, I believe, 6 months, and they'll all be out. The Virzi one is out, of course, and that got some fantastic reviews. So it's going to be great to get Ian out there in that 1-hour platform on Comedy Central. And when you do see it, tell a friend. That's the only way, believe it or not, that's the only way these things explode, by everyone talking about it and tweeting about it and Instagramming about it and all that stuff. Great conversation. We do give a little shout out to our long lost friend, Brody Stevens. And it was nice to talk about a little bit about Brody there also. I love Brody. I miss him every day. Enjoy it. I miss you, Brody. And thank you, Ian, for doing the episode. Before I do jump into it real quick, just some upcoming shows coming up. July 18, 19, 20, I'm going to be at Comics at the Roadhouse at Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. Somewhere in Connecticut. I've never been there. It's on my website, deandelray.com. Tickets are available right now. Las Vegas Cellar, looking forward to going back to the Las Vegas Comedy Cellar July 22nd through the 28th. Nashville, a one-nighter August 24th at the High Watt Rock Club. And I just realized I better put that in my phone. That's not in my phone. Patreoners, brand new Patreon love. I love all you Patreoners. A lot of bonus episodes going on. I think we're at number 37 now. And a lot of people have been enjoying those, and I've been enjoying doing them. It's been a whole different dynamic of sitting down and just talking about stuff each week. Just me on the microphone. Sometimes a guest, sometimes not. Anyway, Danny Procup, thank you, buddy. Brian McCall and Cameron Haynes, or Haynes. However, I don't know if your name is heinous. That would be the worst as a kid, right? Heinous. He's a heinous kid, and then it rhymes with anus. Here comes Cameron Anus. Ah! The old school bullying. You got a bully out there. It toughens him up. Fucking come on, millennials. Get some thick skin. Quit being so fucking offended. Anyway, I love all you guys. Keep leaving the reviews on iTunes. I think I'm at 1,516 or something, which is pretty fucking cool. Keep the candles lit. Let's get into it. I'll see you guys out there. I'll see you on the landscape. I'll see you on the plains. Here he is, Ian Edwards. All right, here we are, another episode of Let There Be Talk. It's the return of Ian Edwards. Wow, remember the old days when we used to do the poolside podcast?
Yeah, those were nice. They had a pool.
Dude, that was 7.5 years ago.
Oh, word.
Can you believe it?
That's how long you've been failing at this thing? Jesus.
Hey, man.
At least you don't give up, man. More power to you, bro.
Hey, I'm telling you, ever since you weren't on anymore, the thing blew up.
Let that be a lesson to you. I'm not debating it.
Can you believe it, though? 7.5 years? I've known you, like, almost 10 years.
I mean, then you've known me, like, maybe, 9, 10, I guess.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I don't round up. Then you'd have nothing to celebrate when you do get to 10 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, all right. There you go. You're right. What's going on, dude? We're over here at the hut. Mm-hmm. We're drinking some beverages on this hot day.
Dean orders $5 Starbucks drinks, y'all.
It tastes good.
I got me a $2 tea, white tea.
$2 tea.
Yeah.
Tea should be free, man.
All right, I agree with you. I'm not gonna argue with that.
Yeah.
I'll take it for free. I'll go over there and tell them next time.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Man, it's cooking today. I was drinking hot coffee yesterday, like you're drinking a hot tea right now. And then I was like, what am I doing? It's blazing.
Yeah, I don't drink anything. I mean, I drink something with caffeine to keep me up.
Right.
So now that it's hot, I don't know what to order from Starbucks.
You don't drink iced tea?
Nah, it's because it's not sweet.
Right.
I don't drink things that are sweet. And when I did drink things that were sweet, it wasn't sweet. So I'm like, when somebody handed me an unfinished drink for me to pour sugar in it and measure the right amount of sweetness, like, just give me a soda.
Yeah.
You know, like that has the perfect amount of sugar in it. Well, I got to finish making this drink.
Yep. I don't drink soda. Do you drink soda?
No, not anymore. I'm done.
Yeah. When did you quit drinking soda?
Can't remember. It was a while ago. Around maybe the same time I became vegan. I always knew soda wasn't good for me. But then I used to drink nothing but soda. Like soda was my water.
Yeah.
And they said, drink this amount of liquid a day. I said, all right, shit, I'm drinking soda. So it's liquid, right? Water's in there somehow.
That's hilarious. Like I would drink about 10 Diet Cokes a day and never piss once.
Damn.
But drink like one water and you're pissing 10 minutes later.
Yeah. For so like 5 times.
Yeah. Man. Well, here we are, dude, on a Tuesday, living the dream in Los Angeles.
I know, feet up on your couch because it's so wide.
Yeah, how weird is
Feet
this
can never
couch?
touch the ground. Yeah, if you want to lean back, you either put your foot on the ground and sit up straight and grow some abs, or lean back and have your feet up off the ground like you're a child on a swing.
This is like a basketballer's couch, right? Like they sit on it and their legs touch no problem.
Yeah, the guy who used to own this must have been really athletic. Or thought he was going to grow to Kevin Durant height.
It's absurd. I got the couch basically almost free, and I hate it.
Yeah. Well, you know what's good about this, Coach? That it's wide enough. Like sometimes I fall asleep on my couch in my living room.
Yeah.
And it's narrow. And if I have company, like we hang on to each other for dear life, like Leonardo DiCaprio and what's her name at the end of Titanic.
Yeah.
And one of us ends up falling onto the carpet and drowning. But on this couch, you could spend a week on this thing.
Yeah.
And be good.
Yeah.
With 3 people on it, laying lengthwise, you're solid.
It is the best comfortable couch once you're sitting on it, but it sucks for podcasting because you see the guests just start to doze off.
Yeah. This motherfucker's a sleep cobra.
Yeah.
That's what they call this. Sleep python.
I always talk about when I started comedy, and I was a couple years in, and I was getting a lot of laughs, and I thought I was killing.
A lot of laughs. Let's slow it down, bro.
Hey, come on, man.
You
I was getting a lot of laughs, but I want to tell the story.
I know where you're going. But,
yeah. Then one day I came out and you're like, "What are you doing in there?" And I was like, "What do you mean, man? I was killing." And you're like, "Yeah, with bullshit." And you're like, "You're way funnier at the 101 than you are up there." I don't even know who that guy is up there.
Yeah.
I was doing like Winnie the Pooh jokes.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, but it changed. It changed me thank God, in the proper direction early on, because you can get really bad habits,
right.
And then just keep going and no one tell you.
No one tell you.
And you just think it's about laughs when you first start, right?
I mean, you need that to feel confident. You know, like different people need different things, and then they still end up on the right road. And some people never end up on the right road. They get addicted to the laughs, and fine, there's an audience for that. But if you want to be, it depends on what you want. If you want to be a comics comic, if you want to be known as one of the best ever, then your act kind of has to be a certain way. There's unwritten rules and laws of comedy that make the greats the great. And if you want to be that, then you have to follow those rules. And if you don't, then you don't have to. And there's different routes and different ways and different styles. And there's all these audiences out there that's willing to, pick a style and run with it and listen to it for the rest of their lives. So, it's up to what you want to do.
I mean, when you started, you were a completely different comic. It's unbelievable. Like when I watched that footage when I first met you, and I was like, I can't even believe that's you.
I was different style of performer.
Right.
But when I listened to those jokes, they were the same type of jokes. It was the same mind writing them. It was just like I put an extra oomph on it, an extra performance, because like me and you talked about going to New York City now and how sensitive the audiences are now, and that we have to be careful about the things we say. But back then, like, you could stab an audience member in the heart and then wipe the blood off your blade onto another audience member, and everybody would just laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
murder somebody.
Yeah.
And, like, you had to go so far to even, like, just
To offend anyone.
graze a nerve of an audience member in New York. So you have to like push it. You have to go hard, and you have to be louder than them so that they would listen to you. You had to act fearless, even if you were, which I was, because I wanted results too. But in my mind, I always wanted to write it right. And then there were some missteps along the way, and I got shit from other comics, and it made me straighten out the way my words might have helped you. But yeah, I think I was different performance-wise if you're talking about seeing me on Def Jam.
Yeah.
Compared to now. When I moved to LA, I was like, you know what? I've always looked at comedy and looked at the comics that I like the most, and they're the comics who are themselves. And I'm like, I'm going to not be afraid anymore. I'm just going to be me and talk on stage the way I really am. Because for me to be the best comic that I want to be, I have to bring offstage me on stage. So, and that was kind of my speech to you. Like at the 101, you have all these stories that you tell us when we're eating that night after the shows. You tell us these great, amazing stories. Like, you're like, wow, that happened for real? You were hanging out with that person and that happened? You did that? Wow. So, you know, some of the stuff on stage wasn't matching up to that. So I was like, well, if that 101 Dean ever gets on stage, it's a wrap. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was glad that you said something to me. Nobody else was.
I think Eric Griffin was there and he agreed.
Yeah.
It was like at the Laugh Factory one night, yeah.
He was just standing there too like, yeah, man.
It's hilarious.
Well, Eric will bounce on me anytime he can with someone. Yeah, Dean, your dumb old mustache, as he's got one.
Yeah, his one is way worse. It's atrocious.
Yeah. I love those early days of comedy. We talk about it a lot, like before anybody seemed to be busy.
Right.
It was me, you, D'Elia, Eric Griffin.
Oh, yeah. Steve Henry. Doc would come sometimes.
Yeah. We'd just be out till 4.
And Dave and some of D'Elia's boys. And D'Elia had like a different set of friends at the time. Sam and the other weird French guy.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
And then sometimes...
I forgot about D'Elia's original crew.
Yeah.
They got fired.
Time.
Yeah, what was that one? Well, you had Dave Sullivan, who's still kind of around.
Dave is still his boy. He was just there.
Then he had Sam, the weird French guy that wanted to be Chris.
I don't know if he wanted to be Chris. He's just so weird. Yeah. He was just an odd guy. He's just, which was a different type of personality I have around. He was kind of endearing.
Yeah.
Then there was... what's his name used to hang, who was on Undateable with Chris.
Oh, Brent Moore?
Brent Moore, yeah, he used to hang, yeah.
Brent Moore.
Yeah.
We were all, even though you guys have been doing comedy for a year, we were all just kind of in, the store was a ghost town.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go down there and we'd do our spots and hang out or work or whatever. And then we'd go to the 101 till like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Right, which is just... would fit me fine because as a New York comic, that's how I used to survive as a comic. I got hibernate during the day, be in my squirrel hole, and then like starts getting dark, and I start stretching out, and it starts getting later, and then I just drive from Long Island to Manhattan, park my car, go to the Boston Comedy Club, and hit all the other clubs that I was performing at in town, and then go to the Cellar, and then either eat there with Keith and Patrice and Burr or Colin Quinn or whoever was there at the time, Norton, Rich Voss, and Robert Kelly was around, and Godfrey, and then sometimes we'd go eat somewhere else. Chinatown, I remember one time we went to Chinatown. Somebody suggested we went to Chinatown was open late night. And I remember being at the Comedy Cellar restaurant, like the Olive Tree, almost called it the Olive Garden.
Yeah.
Pretty close, y'all.
Olive Tree redone. It's all great, kick ass now and healthy menu.
Right. We just remember like sitting there saying like a club, I'm leaving now. And then an hour later he's still there. I said, all right, I'm really leaving now. Hour later, 5 a.m, just leave Manhattan. Then rinse, repeat.
How long you been doing comedy now?
Over 20 years easy. It's longer than that, but I don't even want to get into these numbers, bro.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah, so I just tell people that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you filmed a special and it's getting ready to come out.
Right. July 12th.
When does it come out?
Comes out July 12th. 11 p.m. on Comedy Central, and it's going to be available online at Comedy Central. It's Bill Burr Presents Ian Talk.
Let's talk about the concept a little bit. I wasn't at the shoot because I was in
Because you're not a good friend. I get it. A lot of people came out, Dean. I know who my true friends are now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I understand now. I didn't see any flights.
I came to your 5-minute Conan taping. Took off that day when he ate with you afterwards. Yeah. I have a whole special. Yeah. No, Dean?
Oh, man, dude. I was 3,000 miles away.
Great, terrible excuse.
That was cool. You came to the Conan. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. That was... But you know, it's funny.
I came to use a massage chair, though. They have a massage chair in the green room at Conan, and it's free. And you ain't had nothing like that.
Oh, it reminds me of when you did Conan. Mm-hmm. I went to Conan a few times with you, and it was great because in my mind I thought I'm going to get here one day, so I'll figure it all out. So when I'm there will be nothing to distract me nerves-wise. This is the dressing room. This is the walk. This is the curtain.
There's no new shit.
No new shit. And I still remember, I think it was one of the greatest TV sets I've ever seen. And I wanted to talk to you about that because I, on purpose, didn't watch you run the set all week at the store because I wanted to be surprised. Mm-hmm. And
I didn't run it either, so don't worry. I wanted to be surprised too.
Yeah. And I'll never forget it. I was standing over there by my boy Jimmy, who's in the band leader, and you were running the set and you were killing. And I had been to some of your other shoots before, the George Lopez one and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And
you went to that one?
Yeah, I went to that.
Shit,
Doc sat up in those bleachers.
Oh, shit, I didn't even remember.
Yeah.
I forget a lot of, people say, remember we went here? Remember when we did that? I said, oh, shit, that was you? I forget, man.
Oh, yeah.
I've been so many places.
Yep,
in a good way.
So I remember you were running the set and it was killing. And then you went into your closer and I couldn't believe that you were going to get to do this closer. And I immediately fell in love with JP and Conan for making this decision, because I did hear the story that Conan said, do you stand by this joke to JP? And he said, I do. And he said, then let him do it.
Yeah, and I had to fight JP, twist his arm. He saw me do it at the club. And it didn't go well when he came to a run-through. But I said, hey, I just started doing that joke again. This is the first time. And you came out to it. So just let me keep running it. And it'll be fine. It works. It was a joke in the act that I only did when I was headlining. So when I hadn't headlined in a minute, I'm just doing local spots. So I'm just working on new shit. But when you have to do like a Conan set, you have to get a set together. And I felt like that joke that I only did while I was headlining was like perfect to make a statement about the type of comic I am in a 5-minute set on Conan. So I had to like put the set together, and that joke was in it. And so, you for me, when I'm like writing a new joke and working on it, I never say it right the first few times. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're running lines in a mirror, but just on stage every time you go on stage. So the more I run it, even if the joke does average sometimes, there's a point when it just takes this leap into killing, and those lines that I thought weren't good enough, all of a sudden, like they're laughing at the setup and they're laughing at the punchlines like really hard and they're applauding. So I just need to work sometimes on a joke to get it to that level. Like it's this transformation that happens where I get comfortable with saying it. I know where the pauses are, and I know when to talk and when to stop talking and just surf it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the rhythm. It is a lot like acting. If you go and just do an audition and you do get the part, the audition's probably not that good.
Right. But it depends on how much you practice at home. Like if you run, like if you rehearsing, and then when you go to the audition, they're like, damn, he just nailed it. But that motherfucker was like running them lines.
Yeah. But the joke, I learned so much that day from one from your set and another one from Al Madrigal's.
Nobody else's set, just mine.
But those two sets I learned. One was Al Madrigal was a theme about getting a day labor, and the 5 minutes was on that.
Right.
And I remember hearing that Conan or not Conan, but late night sets don't really like that much, because if the audience isn't on board for the theme, then the whole set's going to bomb. But I remember Al going, "Nah, man, this ain't gonna bomb." And then on yours, I realized, oh, it's exactly what you said. I'm saying something immediately. This is the type of comic I am.
Right.
I'm not changing because I'm on TV.
Right.
This is what you're going to get, because you don't want somebody to see you on TV and then go see you and you're a different comic.
Right. I want the people who like me to like me and come out to see me. Like a lot of, like when you're trying to buy a car or when they advertise a phone plan on TV, there's these loopholes. And they say the TV's $5, and you go there and they say it is $5 after you pay $550, and then it is $5 after you pay the $550 and pay another $1,000. Then it's $5. Like there's no fine print. It's whatever you see on Conan or any other show is a commercial for who you're going to come and see in the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was another great thing I learned from Burr early on, was when I was doing the comedy union. Burr happened to be on that night, and I was all big and goofy, and he was like, what the fuck are you doing up there?
Right.
And I was like, he goes, you got to be Dean Del Rey in every room. Because if they love you and then they go see you at the store, they're going to be like, that ain't the guy we saw. I was just nervous. And I was
so
like,
so you didn't want to lose.
I didn't want to lose him.
Yeah.
And then I watched Burr go up and destroy him with Angry Burr stuff at the Union, which was an urban room.
Right.
And I learned so much from you and him and other guys. It's amazing.
The bill for your education is, I just put it in the mailbox. Open it up and send me my check.
Well, I think that's a big mistake. A lot of comics
These Harvard
watch.
comedy classes ain't free.
Yeah, I get it. But you know what I mean? A lot of people skip these processes.
Yeah.
And then they don't learn this stuff.
Right.
Which is really crazy. When you were doing comedy early on, who were your guys?
Before they were microphones?
Yeah, before there were microphones and you had to draw on the chalkboard and stuff.
Yeah.
But when you were doing comedy early on...
In the moonlight?
Yeah. Who were your guys?
Earlier on was...
At the clubs. Not the big pros, but like guys that were, you know, the Ian to me. Who were the Ians to you?
It's changed so many different times. And sometimes it was people who, like Chris Rock was one. I remember going, so on Monday nights, first, let's go back. So when I first started out, one of the biggest clubs, I started out on Long Island, but one of the biggest clubs was a comic strip in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And you wanted to try to be, or I wanted to try to be a regular at a Manhattan club. And the only opportunity to do that was to go to the comic strip the first Friday of every month. And they had a lottery. And they had a certain number of numbers on pieces of paper, and the rest of the pieces of paper were blank. And you lined up with like 100 comics, waited your turn online, and you had to pick a piece of paper and hoping it had a number on it. And if it had a number on it, they would give you a spot on one of the Monday nights of the week of that month. So what happened was, the first time I ever went there, and it was like a, what do you call those things? A podium? Like, you know, and you're facing the guy who put the numbers down.
Oh, yeah.
So the first number I ever picked, like, this meant life and death to me. You know, I just drove in all the way from Long Island in the wave of rush hour traffic and found a parking spot in Manhattan, and you pay to park at a meter, and you're standing online and you're hoping this whole thing happens before you get a ticket.
Yeah.
And you want to get a ticket, but not that ticket. You want to get the ticket at the podium.
Yeah, the Willy Wonka.
The Willy Wonka joint, right. So then the first time I ever picked a number was top left-hand corner. And I picked it. I had a number on it. I was like, oh, shit, I got a number. So now they gave me a spot for one Monday of the month. Now, this story turns into another story, but then I'll come back to your original question. So then that night, that day, I picked that number and I got a spot at the comic strip. So then every month after, when I came back, I had to go through the same process. And it still, every time, meant life or death for some reason. When you're a young, eager comic and you need something, you just need it so bad. And that getting a spot at the comic strip just meant everything. And I would stand online, face the guy, the podium is in between us. And it was like the second time, and I was like, there's no way a number is going to be in the top left-hand corner like it was the last time. I cannot waste my only opportunity to get a number on going for the same corner. So then I picked a number from in the middle of the podium, and it was blank. And I died in front of the fucking guy. Right? But I had to get offline, and I was like, I'm going to get back on. I got back on and waited my turn. It was like 3 pieces of paper left by the time I got back to the podium. And then there was one of those pieces of paper was a top left-hand corner, just like it was before. And I said, fuck it. The last one was blank. Go for the same corner. And I went for the same corner, and that fucking thing had a number on it.
Oh, man.
And every Friday, first Friday of the month after that, I would always pick top left corner.
No
and
shit.
Always get a fucking number.
Oh,
I never deviated ever again. And I always got a spot, one spot at the comic strip once a month, you know, early into my career. And then from those spots, I would do my spot, you do your spot, and the guy at the time, I forgot his name, but he died of AIDS. So anybody listening might remember his name. But he used to like watch your set and tell you if you were passed or not. And he never passed me, tell me why, or, you know, some of it was legit. I'm sure I wasn't good enough at the time, but I would get to stay the whole night with my young comedy friends, and we got to watch Adam Sandler. We got to watch Chris Rock work out. Any of the regulars of the comic strip would come through that night. We'd see some great names, and we'd just see some amazing comedy that would blow us away. Like the stuff that Chris Rock did on his first special that fucking killed. I saw him like read that off a piece of paper.
Oh, wow.
And do that shit.
Oh, that's
like,
such a great
in
special.
slow motion too.
Oh, yeah.
Like just like getting it out. Just like if you first got some lines in a script and you're reading them, and he would like just read them nonchalantly, not even care if they work, and he just do them, and but the shit would be funny, and then to see how he transformed it over time and kill on a special was bananas.
Yeah. And then at any point, do any of these guys see you and give you any kind of tips?
Chris Rock never spoke to me.
Yeah.
Chris Rock spoke to me when I got a job writing on Saturday Night Live. He said, like, he knew of me, right? He knew of me because I'd done some TV shows in between when I used to see him at the comic strip.
He talked to you at Saturday Night Live?
Yeah, it was like we did the run through for the first show, and he came in and he saw me there, and I was like the only black guy there, and he came up. I was like, "You writing on this show now?" But I knew he knew of me because I think the Chris Rock show was on at the time.
Oh yeah, that show was great.
And one of their episodes was they came on right after Def Jam on HBO, and they made fun of a bunch of Def Jam comics, and Chris Rock had like the John Madden chalkboard, and he would like chalk out the comic set and thought prompt process as they were going into their jokes, and he would criticize some of the jokes.
Yeah.
And I knew he either thought I was funny or good, because I ran into Louis C.K. at Caroline's one time. I was doing a set there. And but this is how the first time Louis ever spoke to me, he's like, "You're Ian Edwards, you're funny, man. We were going to make fun of your set on the Chris Rock show," because Louis wrote on the Chris Rock show, and we couldn't find a way to make fun of it. It was legit. And that's the first conversation me and Louis C.K. about. So I know Chris Rock had seen the set. And then he saw me at SNL.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like they were like, all right, next guy, Ian Edwards. Then they watched it and they went, shit, we got nothing on it.
We got nothing on it. And I was yelling, but the jokes were legit.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's an amazing story. I've never heard that story, and I've known you.
You know what? I didn't even know it was a story.
Yeah.
I was just telling you.
That's wild.
I might have a ton of stories. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool that you like. It's great that you bring up writing on Saturday Night Live because, and you don't really see this when you're not around me, but I'll hear people complaining about something they're spotting a club.
No, I hear people complain.
No, but I'm saying you don't hear what I tell them. Mm-hmm. They'll be like, yeah, this and that. I don't go on here or there. And I'm like, hey, are you funnier than Ian Edwards?
Oh.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is like we always talk about the amazing stuff that you've done in this career, and I still think that people don't know. Like
right.
I've known you almost 10 years, and I forget. Oh yeah, he wrote on Saturday Night Live. He's been on Def Jam.
I was a guest writer.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like the amount of stuff you've done is amazing in this career of how brutal it is, and you've always stayed pretty damn focused, and I look up to that as like. Anytime I get a little down or something, I'm like, nah, man, we're here. We're here.
I grew up in Jamaica. It's a third world country. I had fun when we were broke. We used to, like, I remember one time me and my cousins were hungry. And my cousin was like, come on. He got us together, me and two, like his brother, and maybe my brother or somebody else. And we went out to this field. We got these empty sacks. And then we filled them with this thing. I'm like, well, why are we filling these sacks? Just not to challenge, but just I didn't know what we were filling these sacks with. And he said, just fill them. We filled them. And then we filled the sacks. We had like 4 sacks. And we brought them to this guy who had a pig pen and a bunch of pigs. And we sold the 4 sacks of whatever we picked up off the ground, I forgot what it is, to the guy, because you use those things to feed the pigs. And he gave us like 5 Jamaican dollars maybe. With that, you could buy like 2 pounds of flour. And then we went and picked some ackee, which is like Jamaicans dash off a tree. And then we made the most amazing meal on a outside stove that we had outside. It's like 4 blocks. You put wood in between each of the angles, and you light that shit, and you put the pot on, and you knead the flour. You make dumplings. You put them in the pot, and you fit the ackee thing on it. And we had an amazing feast, and we had a good ass time. And I never forget that day or that lifestyle. You know what I mean? Yep. So everything is like, I'm like. I just don't forget those things. So most of it's to my detriment maybe, because at a certain point you want to be balling out of control and never have to worry about money again. And maybe if I didn't go through that stuff, I'd be more pushy. I don't know, and be further financially. But the fact that I did go through those things, it just gives me a certain relaxation. And everything's going to be all right type of attitude. And I just keep pushing, and things will get better because I've seen the trajectory of my life and my career get better. So I'm never really in any rush to get to the end of something.
Yeah.
But I also enjoy the journey. Like those dinners you were talking about at the 101, I've had those with so many different sets of comics. And those nights have meant so much to me as far as the joy and the fun that it's brought to my life. Like it's like so many dinners late night from when I first started 20 plus years ago, of just rolling, laughing at a table with a group of different people who are all friends at the time. And it's just so much. I've just had so much fun.
Yeah.
So I kind of measure success in fun.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Have you been having fun the whole time?
More than monetary wise, yeah.
Yeah, well, you always tell me, like, which is amazing, you're kind of like a comedy Yoda, man. You're like, well, you're further than you were last year. Did you do Conan last year? Nope.
Right. Yeah.
Were you passed at the Comedy Cellar last year? Nope. Did you have an apartment in New York last year? Nope. You know.
Right. Do you have one in New York this year? Nope. So you better. You know? So yeah, keeps going. Keeps going, baby.
Yeah. It just keeps going. It's an amazing thing to be able to work with guys like you, because it's such a wealth of knowledge. And I'm glad I started when I did. That's why when people see me, they go, man, you're always happy. Everything's great. It's like, yeah, because I see guys my age and they are not happy.
Yeah. Your life doesn't feel like it's over. Like from the outside, it feels like, like there's some people, you look at them, you're like, this person's going to be fine. But the trick to that is like, the person doesn't know. But just from my experience of seeing people, like you can tell who's going to be fine, because your energy is just so into you doing the things that need to be done to make it. I just don't see what's going to stop you, because here's the thing. People think they got haters and there's people trying to stop them, but there's nobody who's going to work harder to stop you than you can work hard to not be stopped.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then the only person who can really stop you is you. So when I see you, I don't see nobody's going to dedicate that much of their time based on how hard you work to stop you from working. That would completely shut down their life. You feel me? So that means
24/7.
So mathematically, you're going to win. All you got to do is keep doing what you're going to do, and you might not have what you want at the end, but that's why it's called the end, because it's over there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to, and then one of the reasons why, you know, I'm kind of lazy. So if I was like, had the money that I wanted to have by now, I know I wouldn't be as funny as I am right now. Like right now, I still need to be funny to make the money I want to make. But if I had the money I wanted to make, I don't know if I'd be funny. I don't want to be out here cheating people. Like I said earlier, it's like you come to see, you pay, you get to see what you pay to see. I don't want to have any fine print because I know I'm cheating because I have the money and I don't feel like working. So I'm just like pretending that I'm giving you what.
And taking people's spots.
Yeah.
Taking people's spots always trips me out.
I mean...
No, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're not in it anymore and you're not into it and you're just going down.
But that's a journey for those people too, that sometimes people take a long time to realize they're done.
Yeah.
Or they take a long time to realize, oh shit, I need to take it up a notch. I'm not what I used to be.
Right.
So, and then if you're not taking somebody's spot, if that person is undeniable, they'll get spots.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, so it's just a transition phase for all those three groups that I just described.
Now, your special is a kind of unique presentation.
I like that word.
Yeah, let's get into that. How because we all know there's a million specials out there.
Yeah.
What's going to be different? I've had a few ideas how I wanted to do mine,
right?
And you had an idea how you want to do yours. And how did this idea come about? And of course, Aristotle is directing it.
Aristotle Theories, he directed it, yeah.
And how did you decide, okay, I want to do it like this? Let's talk a little bit about that.
I know my material is funny enough the way it is, but it's a competitive world, and I want this special, to be honest, I want it to make a splash, because I want to go up to another level as far as I want people to see it, remember it, and say, I want to come out and see this guy perform in the clubs. So I wanted to give my material and my commercial for me, which is the special, the best chance to get to that level. So I was like, I can't just do a regular special. Even though I believe the material is fine by itself, I want to add another layer of special to the special so that people will remember it more. You know what I mean? So then I just thought, just something goofy, what would be funny if I presented some of the topics of what I talk about, because I talk about, I can range from political to talk about social commentary to talk about stuff that's happening in my life to hoes. You know what I mean? I was like, what if I do my special in a TED Talk format and discuss some things that would be in a TED Talk, but also things that would never be in a TED Talk format. And so it's like, I'm talking about hoes, I'm talking about abortions in a TED Talk format, but in a straight, just gully, stand-up way, you know?
Yeah, that's a ballsy move because you never got to really rehearse this.
No, I know. And then during the 3 rehearsals before, I said, this is a mistake. You might have to just cancel all these screens and just have this TED Talk looking auditorium and just do a regular stand-up set.
Yeah.
And I was close to doing that, like maybe the night before, because ask me what you want to ask me, then we'll get more into it.
Well, if somebody's going to run a that type of thing, like let's even say Bruce Springsteen, who I saw on Broadway.
Right.
So when you see it, the presentations, this storytelling thing of his life, he's doing a live kind of version of his book, weaving in and out of songs.
Right.
And I was like, I can't believe it. This just happened. And then later I found out he went upstate New York somewhere and ran that thing a while in college and, in front.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So my point is like, this is an idea. You put it out to people and then you go, well, let's go do it. Well, now there's a live audience and you're shooting the special.
Yeah. Well, So Burr says he hits me up. He has this deal with Comedy Central to shoot 3 specials. And I told him I was going to do a special. I was going to do a special last year.
With your own money?
With my own money, no matter what. And I told Burr I was going to do a special. Then he hits me back, or my agent hits me back and said, hey, All Things Comedy has this deal and they want you to be one of their specials. So Burr and Al Magical, who have always just been in my corner. Like my podcast is with All Things Comedy, Soccer Comic Rant. When nobody's even thinking about soccer, they said, fine, it's on there. So then and when I told them the idea, they both liked it. So Aristotle liked the idea from the get-go.
And let's give a little background on him. He did the show with Fahim and those guys.
And Hassan.
Yeah.
Called, first they had it online. It was called Goatface.
Yep.
And then Comedy Central bought it.
Bought like a 1
hour special.
And it was great.
And it was great. What was the name of that?
Goatface, right?
Nah, Goatface. Maybe it might have been.
Yeah, it's called Goatface.
Let's just say it's Goatface for now. Sorry, guys.
Fantastic.
Good friends. We eat dinner every night.
4 crushing guys, 4 or 5 crushing guys. Fahim and Hassan and
Asif.
It's just
Ali.
It's just amazing stuff.
Right. So where was we?
So he was down with it.
So Aristotle, he was going to direct the special when we would listen, I turned down writing jobs that year that paid $9,000 a week. And I guaranteed 20 weeks of work. It was the specific show was Lil Rel's show. What was it on Fox or NBC? He just came off being on Gerard's show. He played Gerard's brother. Then he had his own show. But I went to a meeting. I knew some of the guys in the room, including Lil Rel, because I wrote on Gerard's show too. And I met with the producers of the show. Had a good meeting. You watch this pilot before, and then you go in and you meet with them right after, and you talk about the pilot, and you just see if you'd get along with everybody in the room. You crack some jokes, and you tell them some ideas that you came up with on the spot. I know how to meet for a show. And then I don't turn down meetings either. And then they offered me the job and a producer title or a co-producer title. And I was like, it was like early in the year. And I was like, if I take this job, I will never shoot my special this year. And if I don't shoot my special this year, that material is going to get stale, and my best shot to stand out as a comic is going to be gone. You know what I mean? Unless I write another set of material.
Right.
So I turned down the writing job.
$9,000 a week.
$9,000 a week. $9,000 a week for 20 weeks.
Full believing in yourself.
Pay for your
own special.
Gonna pay for my
so not
own
only
special.
$9,000 a week down, your bank
I'm
account's
gonna
going to
be
be drained too from riding on Gerard, Two Broke Girls, and
because I'm going to use the money to pay for my special. But at the same time, I'm not even thinking it's a deficit. Like, I'll shoot the special, then I'll own it for perpetuity, and then I'll make money on it for the like. If I didn't sell the special, I was going to cut it up and put it online.
Yep.
And then get people who like the clips to come out to the club, and then I'm going to put the audio on an album format, have people on all the different platforms so people can download it, and I'll own that forever.
Yeah.
And I'll make that money back. I just believed in myself, and that's
Absolutely.
what everybody should do.
Same with Ali Wong. Like, a lot of people don't know, Baby Cobra, she shot herself. No one wanted it. No Comedy Central, no Netflix offered her a special. She went and shot Baby Cobra on her own. Ended up selling it to Netflix, and it's become one of the biggest comics in the world right now.
And she was always fucking hilarious. I remember the first, like, I never really go out of my way to talk to people, that I don't know.
Yep.
Like, all my conversations happen. Well, back then, now I'm more open, but back then I was like, if it had to happen by osmosis. But the first time I saw her was at the Laugh Factory before she was famous, before she shot Baby Cobra, and I was like, yo, your shit is real. And we just started talking from then, and we hung out a few times. She was just always like real and funny to me.
And grinding, like big time.
Yeah.
Big time. I didn't even know that she was a Cellar regular years ago when she was living in New York working on some show.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And when I read her story in the New Yorker, I believe, flying home one time from New York, it was on JetBlue. It was one of the greatest stories I've ever read, and it made me feel so good. Mm-hmm. She had done Cobb's 6 weeks before the special came out. Mm-hmm. San Francisco hometown like me. She's a Bay Area. She grew up in San Francisco. She started in San Fran, and she did Cobb's a weekend. No tickets sold. They had them on Groupon and all that. Mm-hmm. And
after the special or before?
No, before the special.
Right.
A couple months after the special came out, she went back. I think she did like 18 nights at Cobb's.
Oh, damn. That's beautiful. You get to spend all those nights in San Fran.
Yeah, and not only that, but just it really gives you that thing of like, look, if you keep working and you're good, it's gonna rise somehow. I think.
It's just a part of it is just the belief in yourself or in what you want to do. And it sounds kooky, but let's listen, it's not even kooky. It's just time proven, especially in my life, that if you head in the direction you want to go, put one foot in front of the other, it'll just happen. Like, who has the energy and the time to stop you? And there's also like I don't know what is a vibration that comes out of you that touches people that you're unaware of, that get them on board with you and also help you to achieve the things that you want to achieve. So, like I said, I turned down the job. Yep. And I'm gonna shoot this thing. And what I was gonna do is I was gonna tell Rogan, like, I didn't want to bug him, so I was like, and I know he wanted to help me, so I was like, if I shoot the special, I'll just ask him to be a producer on it, so it'll be easier for me to sell, and also he can promote it to his audiences
on the podcast,
so that we'll get people to come out to the taping and and we'll have a chance to sell it. But before, and I did tell Rogan, hey, I want you to help me produce my special, and he said yes, right? And then, like maybe 2 weeks later, Bill hit me up and said, hey, I got this deal. And him and Al asked me with my agent if I wanted to be a part of their 3 special deal. Yeah. And now I'm getting paid for it.
Awesome.
So then now I don't have to spend my money, and I'm getting paid for it, and it's going to be on a channel, and I get to own half of it back. It's in 6 years, but I get to own half of it back.
And the gamble of putting all the chips on the table It just paid off.
Yeah, it paid off. So it paid off sooner than I thought it was going to pay off. Yeah. Because I did visit some other people who had offers for specials, but they were paying me nothing. One guy was like, I'm going to shoot it, and then I'll find a place to put it, and then after a few years of selling it to different platforms, then you get some money back.
Yeah.
He said, because I'm taking all the risk. And I'm like, why am I a risk? I'm a proven comic.
Yeah.
And this guy's a millionaire.
And it's not even that much money. It's not money, but it's not like...
It's money
like
if you don't got it.
$2 million movie.
Yeah. It's like I was going to shoot my joint for like 20 G's.
Right.
You know, like we
with
figured
friends,
out a way.
Because we got great friends with killer equipment, and they're all in the business.
Yeah, and they know how to do it. They've helped people do it. So it's like, you know, so I was like, I'm not a risk. So you're in my head, the guy was telling me this. I'm like, how are comics a risk when you're a millionaire and you've been shooting specials and selling them? How is, like, there's certain terminologies that people have used in different phases of my life to make me or other people feel
desperate. I feel like that all the time.
And you have to like take a second to listen to the words people use, whether in a commercial for something or whether somebody calls you up with a opportunity or a con, to know that they're just playing on your insecurity. And I'm like, I'm not a risk, so I'll just sell this thing somehow. I'll make the money, but it take a long time, but I'll make the money back and I'll own it. And then when I really blow up, then people will want to go back to my older shit and I'll make a real shitload of money.
Yeah,
you know
like your
I mean?
Conan record?
Like my Conan record, they paid for everything, but they gave it to me. I own that shit.
So great.
So 100%
Those guys
half-assed.
are amazing.
Yeah, and those guys are amazing. They have all the money in the world. They didn't think I was a risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you sit down with Aristotle and you say, hey, we're going to do a TED Talk, do you guys figure out how you're going to do this? Like, how's it going to come off in a live audience and all this?
Well, we just needed to know. Now we're like, all right, we just got to find the right place.
Right.
So before, we were looking at places, because I'm watching a ton of TED Talks, and they have a look. You know what I mean? And you can't just... Before, I would have shot my special in a comedy club or somewhere smaller. You know what I mean? To just... Because it was just going to... we're trying to cut corners, but still be different. Now, there's a budget of $200,000.
Oh, man.
You know, so now you can like shoot it the way it should really look. So now we start looking at theaters, and then we found a Beverly O'Neill theater, and I wanted to definitely, no matter who was paying for the special, I was going to shoot it in town. A lot of comics shoot stuff out of town, right? But me and you were just saying something earlier about you came to Conan and you saw what the setup looked like, and you'd been there before, so that when you shot your Conan, the less new shit you have to deal with, there's less sensory overload.
100%.
So I didn't want to go to some state and shoot it somewhere.
Strange hotel, flights,
all
equipment.
That shit, places I never performed before in front of audiences that aren't familiar with me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm keeping this shit local. I'm from New York. I'm from Jamaica. I'm from England. And I am from California now. I've been here long enough.
Totally.
So I'm from all of those places, straight up. I dare anyone to challenge me. I lived in all those places. I'm from all of them. So I'm from California. I'm going to shoot this shit in California. And the two best options was the Broad in Santa Monica, which I didn't even know was there. And it's a nice 500-seat theater. I was like, I liked it a lot.
Is that the one Whitney did one at?
Whitney Cummings did hers joint there. But then Aristotle talking, the Beverly O'Neill, there was this one TED Talk I looked at we thought was shot at the Beverly O'Neill Theater, and I liked the look of it. So we was like, let's get that look and put it in this theater. And it was the better theater to do it at, just because the Broad is it's a little too small. When you put the cameras and stuff in, you lose some seats and you lose some atmosphere.
Yeah.
So the Broad, where was it? Where the fuck that? The Beverly O'Neill Theater. That's where I shot it.
let's get into this. So you do a first run through, and how does it go? Because you shot 2, right?
So now, yeah. Well, even before that. So now I've run my set, but I've never run it
as a TED Talk.
As a TED Talk with a screen and a monitor, and you change the picture to fit the joke or use the picture, and then you have to come up with an order.
That's really crazy, right?
So you have to...
Because you can't go off map.
You can't go off map, and then you have to add new words to help the pictures to connect the jokes to what's going to appear on the screen. And now we do a run through at the Belly Room. First of all, the show was supposed to start at 8 probably.
Yeah.
By the time we got the monitor and everything working, it's 9. So it's
people just sitting in there like, what the fuck's going on?
It's Hiccup City.
Oh.
It's Hiccup City. But Al Magical is there. And I can't remember if Bill was there. But we run it. And the set works fine, but it doesn't even make sense to have the monitor there because the jokes are not connected to the set. So then Al, very astute, says a few things, and then there's another run through that Eric Griffin helped me put together, I think, at the Improv. And then we...
In the lab?
In the lab. So then this time, it only took 45 minutes to get the monitor working and all the pictures and the cues.
And at any time, are you just going, fuck it, it's just Ian Edwards comedy special?
Yeah, like me standing in front of a screen for no reason.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
Right.
And even somebody was telling me that. I said, hey, man, one guy, he was trying to be helpful, but he said, hey, man, you're funny, man. You don't need a gimmick. And I'm like, I know why he's saying this. It's because the thing is not working, but the more we do it, the more we learn.
Right.
So now we're finding, we don't have all the pictures that's going to appear on the monitor. We're finding them, we're creating them throughout the 2 weeks that we have left. And then now I got to go over to All Things Comedy, and they have like a sound stage. And I got to run them, me, Mike Balotelli, and Aristotle. We're just in this empty space running the special.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just like and saying you should, if we say this or add this other picture, and then every time they add a picture, it's another new thing for me to remember, and it shifts the order of things, and it's like I'm not comfortable with it anymore.
Yeah, it's not flowing.
It's not flowing. So then I have run it a few times there. Then I come home, and I have the clicker that we bought, and I do it on TV in a makeshift way to try to get the order down. And now we're at the Beverly O'Neill Theater.
The night before,
and I run it in front of like 3 sound guys or technicians, and some of them are laughing, so then they go for lunch, and then I run it just myself. And then the day before, I run it again. And while I'm running it, some other people that are working in the theater, whether they're like talking and shit. I'm getting furious.
Oh, fuck.
Because I'm like, I got to shoot this thing.
Taking you outside of your brain.
And I'm hearing like this, just sitting there talking like, hey guys, you can't just talk like this. Like of all the places, like right in front of me on the steps near the stage, I'm trying to like lock this thing in mentally. And then they move and they start talking again, even just a few steps away. I was, hey man, could you please? So then they bounce, and then I run it. But also the challenge of trying to remember everything while they're talking kind of helps. So then it comes to the first show that night, and the great thing about the night was like Lenoci, him and Fahim, Michael Lenoci and Fahim, they're like, hey man, we want to chip in for a limo to pick you up to take you to your special, and we'll all go down there. I thought that's nice, and normally I wouldn't take it, but
yeah, you don't have to drive.
I don't have to drive.
Long Beach traffic,
and then you just go down there with some friends. All right, cool. So I'm waiting at home, and the limo's not there. And I told Lenoci to move the time up of when the limo should pick me up, and we should all go, because the first show is like 7:30, and you have to head there in rush hour traffic to get there, to relax. You don't want to get there last minute for your special taping.
No way.
And Lenoche doesn't move the time of the limo up. And
Damn, Lenoche.
I'm looking outside my window. There's no limo. And Lenoche's not there. Fahim is not there. And I said, yo, I'm jumping in my car and I'm driving down there right now. And they're like, give me 5 minutes. I said, hey, man, I'll give you 5 minutes. But if I don't see you, the limo, or Fahim, thanks, but I'm out. I got to get there and just relax.
Totally.
And then
like the big day.
Yeah, it's the big day. So I pull out and one of them shows up. I think it was Lenoche. And I'm like, where's Fahim? And I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm in the car, in my car.
Yeah.
And then I said, all right, let me put my car in the garage. And if I come out and Fahim ain't there, I'm out. The limo's not there yet because Lenoche, stubborn as shit, did not change the time for the limo. So
he's just in his car?
He's just in his car.
You could have done that on your own.
Yeah, yeah. And then Fahim shows up, and then we jump in his truck, and we drive to fucking the Beverly O'Neill thing. But we had a fun drive.
Yeah, of course.
And he's trying to kill us on the way there. I'm like, slow down. Now that we're in the car, we'll make it, man. I don't need to be like show up with, I'm bald, but I don't want the few hairs I have on my head standing by the time we get to the fucking theater, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get there. And we have plenty of time. And we have a good fucking time just hanging out, talking, kicking it, and just joking. I was really relaxing. And Jesus showed up. He brought me a smoothie. I didn't even eat all day.
Yeah.
And I ran it, and then it was good to go.
Let's get into a little thing. I believe it might have been one of the last things Brody did, huh?
Yeah, Brody did the warm up.
He did the warm up.
Yeah.
And he was a master of warm up because you didn't have any comics open this thing. You just had Brody's a comic, but I'm saying not the traditional, host feature than you.
Right.
You just had Brody come out.
And then Burr did like 5 minutes.
Oh, Burr did.
Thank God. I didn't want him to do.
Right.
He was smart enough not to do more. And I got to follow a Burr set, like a full on Burr set.
Hey, let me go on before your special here.
Yeah, which I would have done, but
I get it.
I don't want. I'm already going to dig myself. I'm digging myself a hole with these monitors and these screens and this clicker I got in my hand.
Yeah.
You don't want to face a full-on Bill Burr onslaught. You know what I'm saying?
And then people are like, hey, can we get that kid? Have him stay out there.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
But Brody, who is a master at audience warm-up, it's just, when you were watching the footage during the edits, you saw Brody recently. Did you see him in the edits or anything?
No, I have some pictures and stuff, and there's some clips that they sent me in a file. And then we asked, now that All Things Comedy came on board, they're producing it, but I'm involved in every facet of the making of the special. I'm interviewing with All Things Comedy people like Mike Balotelli and AJ. We're interviewing editors, just design people. I'm talking to the girl that ended up being the art designer. She was in Turkey visiting her family, and I'm talking to her via Skype or on a 1-800 number. All of us on a conference call, and I was like, she's busy on vacation. I can't. And then we had another art designer, and then that guy fell through. Then we got this other guy, and then he was panicking about the scope of it. And was like, we can't use that guy. So then the Turkey girl finally came back into town, and then we had to use her last minute. She did an amazing job. But so we're involved in all the facets of the producing of the special. But then we were discussing warm-ups, and there's a lot of comics who are friends of mine that would have done the warm-up. But I've been at tapings where Brody didn't warm up the crowd, and it was not good for the comics who had to tape their sets. And I've been at tapings where Brody did do the warm-up, and I was like, this guy has something. He knows what he's doing, and he's the best thing for taping a special.
He really was.
So me and Mike Balotelli was like, yeah, let's not fuck around and get some friends that just know comedy and don't know warm up.
Right.
Let's get the perfect person, so let's get Brody.
The best.
Yeah. And he did his thing.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I haven't seen it, which I'm kind of glad I haven't seen it because I want to see it at, like, if you have a screening party or whatever.
Right.
I'm really fired up to see it because I was in New York.
No, I'm not inviting you, bro.
I was bummed to miss it. So bummed, you know.
You're going to make an excuse to miss it again, bro.
There's our whole crew. I see Steve Henry there,
Steve is there.
Jesus,
Yeah.
Doc, you, Brody,
Burr was
Fahim,
there, yeah.
Burr.
Yeah.
Everybody's there, and I'm not there, and I'm like,
I mean, some people like to come to have fun, you know.
You want to know what it feels like to be lonely in New York in your apartment? Just watch all your buddies on Instagram celebrating your friend's special, and you're like, ugh.
Serve you right, yeah.
I really felt weird though during that time. I really did because there I was in my apartment. I knew what I was doing. I was at the cellar, and I was working my ass off to get to be a better comic. But at the same point, there was a learning thing right there and then that was like, comedy is the most important thing to me besides my friends from comedy.
Right.
That's really the important thing. And I've said that over and over. I said it last week.
Should have been there, asshole. That's all I can keep repeatedly saying. Great job, Dean. Great job.
I can't wait to see it. Okay, so it's out July 14th?
Nah, man, stop changing the date. It's July 12th.
July 12th.
On Comedy Central, 11 p.m. and it's going to be online at Comedy Central for free. Just go there and just watch it and share it, and
it's great.
And follow me on Instagram. I'll post about it at Ian Edwards Comic.
Yeah, and shout out to Jessica Kirson, who's got one coming out from All Things. And Paul Virzi did the first one. And I believe they're going to rerun Paul Virzi's after yours.
Oh, cool.
So people can watch
Lucky him.
Yeah, so All Things Comedy, Bill Burr.
Thanks to Burr, All Things Comedy, Al Magical, who helped a lot, man. And even, you know, for Rogan and Daniel Tosh, just everybody. And, you know, all the homies, you know, you and Jesus and Fahim and La Noche and Delir and just everybody, man.
Yeah, Eric Griffin. We got to say him again. Eric Griffin. He'll be like, I heard that shit.
Yeah, that asshole, Eric Griffin and Doc Willis. Like, Doc gave me, after you shoot something, you're like, did we do the right thing? And Doc was like, yo, man, that shit was... I was like, all right, yeah. Yeah,
Steve told me you guys went and ate after or something, and everybody...
And we had a nice meal at the new 101, which is Fred 52.
Fred 62.
Fred 62.
That is our new spot.
That's the new 101.
God, I love that place. Yeah. All right, well, thank you, dude, for doing the show, and I can't wait to see the special. Follow Ian Edwards, Ian Edwards Comic on Instagram.
Yeah, and on Twitter, too.
And on Twitter, and then he's got the podcast called Soccer Comics.
Comic Rant.
And also you can go back and listen to maybe the first 20 episodes of this show 7.5 years ago. Ian and I had some incredible times interviewing people like Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols and Jacob Dylan, Wallflowers, and all these great old school, long time ago episodes, which is great. Right. So thanks for tuning in, everybody, and tell everybody about a special and keep the candles lit.